Testing the mic. Testing the mic. Mic test. Mic test. Testing. All right. Hey, it's your boy Antoine Rivers, man. Conviction Fiction Podcast. We're live at 1766 Lakewood Avenue. We're going to go and participate in the Both Sides of the Gun event. This is the third annual one. Please go to our feed. If you know someone that wants to be involved, go ahead and check us out. Peace. What's happening, fam?
when people start coming in, the focus be on everybody walking forward.
I got
So
you.
I don't
For
want
sure.
I don't want that happening.
For sure. What you need me to do?
Right here, we live.
Oh,
Hey,
what's
it's
happening, y'all?
Antoine, I'm here with Chris. I got my mic on.
Oh, you got the
good?
mic already?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
already in my mode.
Hey, the Life Unit. We here, both sides of the gun.
Yeah,
This my
most
friend, good friend. Christopher Willis, Life Unit. Tell us why y'all here.
Man, first and foremost, I want to thank this brother right here. I want to shout out Conviction Fiction Podcast. He helped me bring my story from social media to some paper, to the book. And it's been reaching to some people, and I'm really happy about that. But really, what I want to speak about today is right now, where we're at, Lakewood Church of Hope, getting ready to start in a few minutes. We'll be here till a little bit after 6 p.m. There's community, there's conversation, there's connection. But overall, we're challenged.
Will you be on the panel today?
Huh?
You on the panel?
I'm actually hosting. Yeah, I'm hosting.
See?
I'm gonna be running around here. I'm hosting with Whitney Jones over there with the RKJ Foundation. She's got amazing stories. Make sure you check her out. But it's gonna be great, man. We're here
Awesome,
with Pod. Shout out to
Pod.
Raheem. Shout out to Squat. Shout out to everybody, man.
Hey,
And
man.
we're here.
Glad you're here, bro.
We're here.
Hey, we'll be here, man. We definitely got to catch up afterwards.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go, man.
Peace.
I got. Hey, look. With the. You want me to go live or no?
Nah, you know what I mean?
our guests, attendees, and a couple of our speakers. We're running a little late due to fees for traffic. I didn't get any tickets, so I don't really care. Anybody got some tickets? First, I want to say good afternoon. No, we've been waiting a little longer than that, y'all. Can I get a good afternoon? Much appreciated. My name is Octavius Holiday. I'm the Executive Director of Public Affairs for Positive Outreach Development Society. This is our third annual, both sides of the gun. I don't have a nice speech written up, but I'm amongst family, so I feel like it can come from the heart. I definitely appreciate you guys for coming out to our third annual Both Sides of the Gun, Bridging the Divide. This means a lot to not only Positive Outreach Development, but to RJK and the Life Unit and other, hold on, get some feedback here, and other organizations that participate. Just a little bit about myself. I really don't tell my story a lot because I don't want it to overshadow the mission we have at hand, but I am justice impacted, incarcerated for 16 years. This is my passion, coming out, being out 6 years, this is my passion to help the people. And I feel like a lot of the rights, the wrongs that we did, this is a way to right up being a part of the community. So this is our community effort. We have victims of gun violence and justice impacted people who are going to be on our panel today discussing some of the perspectives that they have on gun violence, being that this is Gun Violence Prevention Month. So I definitely want to say thank you to the guests that we have from nonprofits, from our car legends, the community, our state, our local officials. This is truly a memorable event. And as the time goes by, people will trickle in, but this is an event for the community, and we hope that this does help educate and reduce gun violence. Without further delay, I want to introduce my pastor, who let us have this opportunity for the second time. I appreciate mentorship. We're going down the same path, and we're going to the same direction. I want to introduce Pastor here.
I'm a little taller than you. How y'all doing today? Good. Thank y'all for this opportunity to host you guys and to have you in our home. And it's always a blessing because there's a lot of things that happen in our community that involve many of us. Sometimes it feels like no one sees us. So this is an opportunity for us to be able to have a space and a time that we can say that we see, that we understand. I was talking and McDonald not long ago, less than 21 years ago. I live right off of McDonald in South Hill. I don't know if y'all know what it is, but when it dead end right there on Boulevard, it's called Federal Penitentiary. So I'm also this opportunity to see some of what I want to do. And part of that is that our young people, more important, understand our situation that a lot of times they can't find themselves because they react more than they respond. So at this point in time, I'm trying to teach and mentor. One thing that I always try to make sure is that our young people different reacting and responding. I have been in the college high school for 16 years, and I've been here my wife and I, have been have set out. So you're always on Sunday morning. Y'all heard that? Y'all didn't hear that. Not from 11 to 2, not from 11 to 4. We don't play by it, 11 to 12. If you go over 12, because we're walking out. You know, because it won't take that long to tell anybody what says the Lord. But because I'm not going to get a long time. I'm actually take my grandson to Tallahassee. I got to drive ahead of him to make sure that I come by safe. Last time, my wife and I, when we had, so I got a chance to do some of it on FaceTime. I didn't get a chance to hear it personally. So, eternal God, right now, thanks for the opportunity to come to you. God, we can pray many times, but the one thing that we do, and as one God, we ask that you be for more than 4, and sometimes they don't realize what they do to their lives. Many of us right now, angels that have followed us in our lives. That's why we're trying to anti what it is once we're going back to fix up what we have. God, right now, give us the strength and the opportunity, give us the man, much work. God, God, I thank you for the opportunity to tell this story. So your son's name. Amen. Amen.
Good afternoon again, and welcome to the night was October 2003. A young boy, teenager, that thought he knew it all, was 19, decided to his cousin then applying over the course of a few months. One day, gave in. His cousin had establishment, come away with $1 million. But the plan would work. He's a BB. Nobody gets physically hurt. And the 19-year-old, if I get arrested, it goes left, I'll get a couple years. Everything will be okay. They pulled off the rock that night. Within a couple of weeks, the cousin, the 2 additional individuals, and that night to be arrested. And within that night, who never left, never took, never entered this house, would be sentenced. That night was me. So when I say in person, I say I'm black, and I represent the side of the things that I represent the side of the emotion. I represent the side of this is all the music, the people that I'm in. Maybe some of the people I represent that. Too often, conversations with reentry, and I have conversations with him that because peer pressure, big stereotype influence, they decided to pick up a gun, and their life was because of some words exchanged, in some cases, a trigger pulled. But I don't just stand here representing the side that pulls the trigger. I stand here also representing countless family members. They cry, they shed tears when the holidays come. when the World Cup's here, we would take their family members in. I represent that side too because I've experienced loss. A good friend of mine, just a couple of changed his life, came home from prison, got to the church, did everything right, and suffered gun violence, walking out of a club, just celebrating his freedom. So I know both sides. And today we're here to have a discussion, to represent something that a lot of people say it can't be done, that both sides can come into the room, have a conversation, discuss solutions, alternative paths, and actually provide support to people in need. So today when we have, don't just listen, participate. And there'll be a time where you guys can answer or ask questions as well, because we need your feedback. Because this isn't just a movement. This is a movement, and this is for community. That being said, I'd like to introduce my co-host for this one. She's helped me with the Tony program, which also deals with gun violence in Gwinnett County. She spoke for the Victims Impact Panel. She's a friend of mine, not just a colleague. I'd like to introduce Ms. Whitney Jones.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Whitney Jones, and I'm the founder of Wayman K. Jones Foundation. And it is such an honor to be a part of both sides of the gun again this year. One of the things I love about this event, it creates an opportunity to hear voices on both sides of the gun. And I'm standing here today to represent the survivor side. And I want to take you guys back to where it all started for me. It was July 20th, 1998. I was only 9 years old at the time. And I remember my mom, she woke me and my brother up. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. And she said that it was an emergency and that we need to get to the hospital as soon as possible. So I vividly remember driving on the highway. It's pouring down rain. And when we finally make it to the hospital, we're greeted by both the doctor and the chaplain. And they spoke to my mom probably all of a couple minutes. And they took her into the separate room. And at that time, she was identifying my father's body. He had already passed away due to one gunshot wound to the chest. And they just needed her to positively identify him. And I remember when she came out of that room, she gave me this motherly look of, how am I going to tell my 2 children that their father is gone? And I remember we made it back home. She sat me and my brother down and she had explained what had happened. And the last memory that I have of that night was me, my mom, and my brother crying ourselves to sleep. And that was probably the first pivotal moment in my life, losing my dad, who was my best friend, and he was literally a piece of me. And a lot of people think, what was life like after that? You can imagine going from a 2-parent household down to 1 in a split of a second. And growing up, I always used to think of all the things my dad missed out on. He missed out on the birthdays. He missed out on the graduations. And something on the inside of me began to fuel up. It was the anger. It was the bitterness and the resentment. And I carried that for almost 20 years. And the pivotal moment for me was I joined a local church back in my hometown, dedicated my life to Christ, and began to learn what forgiveness looked like. And I remember one day in prayer, God asked me, I need you to forgive the woman who took your father's life, just like that. And at that point in my life, I was moving on. I had graduated from college. Life was good for me. Did I miss my dad? Absolutely. But I knew there was nothing in my power that I could do to bring him back. So what did I do? I was obedient. I remember looking up her information. I wanted to see exactly where she was serving her sentence. And I simply wrote her a letter. And I introduced myself and I told her, what was life like growing up, and fast forwarding to where I was on that day. And to my surprise, she actually wrote me back within a month. And I always remember the first sentence. She said, you do not need to introduce yourself. I already knew who you were when I seen your name on that envelope. And I had been praying for this moment for almost 20 years, that I would have an opportunity to reconnect with you and your family and ask for your forgiveness. And so we communicated for a few months, and then eventually we set a date to actually meet in person. And that happened on August 17, 2018. I had a chance to meet her face to face at the Madison Correctional Facility, which is based in Indiana. And the biggest question that I had going into that meeting was why. I wanted to know the events that led up to my father taking his last breath. And when she had explained to me what happened, it was probably the hardest thing I had to hear in my life. I broke down, and then I broke down again. But this time around, I felt a sense of peace. And I realized that for over the 20 years of carrying all that weight had been lifted off of my shoulders. And when I left that prison, I feel like it was the second pivotal moment in my life where my pain was beginning to turn into purpose. And a year after that point is when I started my nonprofit organization, to where now we provide support and resources to families who have been personally impacted by gun violence. And the plot twist to my story is Deborah, the one who was responsible for my father's death, was released 7 years ago. And she reconnected with me and my family. And to this day, me and her have an amazing relationship. And one of our biggest missions is to actually travel the world and share our powerful story of forgiveness together. And I know if she didn't live in Indiana, she would have loved to be here today. But I'm hoping that for those who wonder what life looks like after the tragedy, after your loved one is gone, I want to give you the hope that I'm standing here today. I was able to turn my pain into purpose. There is hope after tragedy, and forgiveness is possible. And so I hope my story can serve as an inspiration to those that if God can do it for me, he can do it for you as well. So thank you guys so much for allowing me to share my story. And as we move into the next part of the program, I encourage you to listen with open heart and open mind. But without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Southside Soul, a youth program dedicated to transforming lives through the power of music, creative arts, and mentorship. Please help me in giving a warm welcome to Southside Soul.
How y'all doing? Listen, my name is 4am Chef Jimmy, also known affectionately. This is Coach Jimmy, where I teach students how to songwrite and produce all you need. Please forget my voice. All right? I'm gonna go ahead and get this first spoken word. Is that okay for you all? 300 years in slavery, 300 years in change. 100 years of bravery finally led to change. 50 years later, our little bonus campaign. Somehow we still scarred from all the previous pain. The other child was slain, probably raised by a gang. Nowadays, it seems that we adapt to the slang. Because in our society, it's not hit to sound scholarly. 400 years ago, we were considered property. And this is why I'm celebrating for our generation. Praying for integration, the demise and segregation, the history and inspiration from slaves to inauguration. And this is simply a reflection of our progression from oppression no longer thanks to my God who is omnipresent. And God knows I appreciate my roots, but please protect the future of our youth. Because all our role models are the rappers that they hoop. And the world expects us to be dead by 22. And if we're still alive, we're going 25 to life up in prison. Guilty to sins of men and women with vision we take for granted was given. And that's nonsense. I pray you understand my mindset in these concepts, and God rest. Amen. I appreciate y'all. I'm about to bring up a phenomenal up to the stage. I go by the name of KZ and K5K. Make some noise for them one time. And before I bring them up here, I just want to make a quick announcement about these young people because I'm so proud of them. They're accomplishing some amazing things. I've been doing this work now for 4 years. This is my fifth summer. Our students have performed at Hawks games. They've done over 75 shows all across Atlanta. And now they're about to have their first performance all the way in LA for BET Awards weekend. All right, make sure that's that. They're coming up in just 1 week. And we're looking for more people that want to support. These kids are going to need lodging. Some of these kids need flights, have never been on a flight, right? We need to support these kids because opportunities like this, for these kids, not once in a lifetime. We're going to keep going, right? But these are once in a lifetime opportunities. Many of these kids have never flown on a plane before. All right, so with that being said, When I say south side, y'all say soul, south side, south side. Go ahead, play that. This was crazy.
Some people want to complain and some people want to whine, but nobody is grateful for the parts that are designed. Some people want to hate and some people want to love, but there's no other way of like God that is above, and we are supposed to keep it and we're supposed to live it and never understand. There are people always giving and you always speak your word and you always tell the truth and you always go to the women after kiss and boo. And then you wanna lie. Why you acting so surprised? You take my money and my fame like you. Do you think I'm blind? I'm loyal, healthy, happy. Why you trying to tear me down? I will not change my energy for a person I love now. So what if I got a boyfriend? Stop asking questions, and if he cannot accept me, then he cannot be my man. Don't you dare change my character. Don't you dare change my options. Don't you dare even try to put me on that roster. So what if I ever give it so I am the same. So what I live I am the same. If I cannot have my freedom, then you cannot have my rights. Do you even know how long it took for us to fight? Some women are still lying, some men are still lying, and some kids want to fight and then end up crying. Help me understand it. If God gave you a choice, would you accept it? We made things for a reason. Call that up choosing at the end of the season. Dear citizens of America, I am not your enemy, but I also do not uproot this false prophecy. These are Romans the streets. You have the ability to go to God and ask for help. Ask and shall receive. You think I'm joking? You can laugh, but I'm not done with you, hag. Oh, excuse me, if you may, and maybe I'll disobey. It's always the people getting mocked. So how about Satan can get blocked? So what if I was different home? I am the same species. So what if I was different home? I am the same species.
Next one.
God bless America. Go, go, needed to say that this is what it says, this is what when you go abroad at the bottom of the sea, they say this is the land of drink, but it ain't what it seems. People are fighting to eat, drink, and sleep. Don't you think this is happening to me? Have you ever been somebody? Have you opened your eyes to see the sea? No? Well, that's too bad. This isn't the world that I wish I had. America, darkness, America, America. God bless America. I'm talking with you from the car with the first thing that you got. Let me still with the part and healthy. Land in the free, but the fuel stay change. Every day feel like a ball in the chain. Trying to stay solid, but they have no pain. Stay safe. This is the land of dreams, but it ain't what it seems. People are fighting to eat, drink, breathe, sleep. Don't you think this is your good idea? You can't just stop right there. Have you open your eyes and you see the sea? No? Well, that's too bad. You know that I wish I had. Oh yeah, God bless America. God bless America.
This next artist on the south side of ATL, this one's for K5DK. Also make some noise for yourselves. Y'all could be anywhere else on this Saturday, but y'all here supporting the youth, right here for a good cause. How everybody doing today, man? So I'm here to do a Christian rap song. I converted my life to God at least like last month. I got baptized on the 4th. Yeah. And I'm just here to spread the word and encourage you. You don't gotta rap about killing in the song. You don't gotta rap about doing drugs. You don't gotta rap about lame stuff that you think is cool because other people got it. I don't think y'all heard it. You probably don't. You put your faith in the city. I pray to the Lord. It's exactly as much how you work. And nobody claim me a demon. I catch my mom in the Bible. That's going on. You say you faith on the Lord. I promise to say that you don't gotta go for the search. I put down my foot out found the Lord. I Christ will say me once, he'll do it twice, won't doubt again. I know that we live it, we don't think about sacrifice. I call my sis, it's time to start. We about to praise the Lord tonight. My life turned around, look at the God. I was just lost all day, it was over. Know that God gave me a chance. I know that we live in sin, don't think about taking friends, hurt to the Lord. If they don't feel me well, release us from I'm speaking the truth. You probably think I'm rapping and rapping, I'm studying the gospel, I get in the booth. You can't break me down, I'm too locked in with God, that came for you. I was outside in the streets, you said something about how fast my life got turned around. I found the Lord, I know that you can too. You want to rob you in the church, you put your faith in the city, I pray to the Lord, and say, that can just watch how you work it. Nobody can be a demon, I can't tell my brother to God, whatever you in the church. You say you can't find the Lord, I promise to say that you gotta go for the church. I put down my pride and found the Lord, I speak to Christ, he'll say he wants to do it twice. He gave me life. I know that we live it, really don't think about sacrifice. I promise this is time to start. We got to praise the Lord tonight. Now this other song right here, it's one of my personal songs. It's about my cousin who got the gun violence. She died on accident. But it's still the point of God safety. His family guns. Stuff kids my we gonna need y'all help. So I made this song to chill with my cousin. Look, you don't know how I feel. Watching this stuff as a kid, mama hustle to get up to you don't know how I feel. I had to see mama crack her. Yeah. You don't know how I feel. We used to sleep on the floor because imagine how I went to the kids. You don't know how I feel. Crying so hard, I miss them all. I didn't have no kids. You don't know how I feel. When I went to the streets, I was lost. I was looking to live. I was so young, see the murder. I was looking at this far. I had knew that I wanted to live. Why you so fake? Stay away. I was going to say, I was speaking at all of these. Murder all said, you expected on my mama's face. She got these all over the street. You don't know how I feel. To the smile, but I'm fighting. I'm good at that. You don't know how I feel. I don't really see trying to stop. You don't know if I live and get killed. You don't know how I feel. I see my cousin get shot out. I'm crying. Piss out the tears. You don't know how I feel. We used to chill on the game as a kid. You don't know how I feel. Everybody, you don't know how I feel. See mama cry to the struggle, she could pay. We used to sleep on the floor because the best not with the kids. You know what? I'm so hard. She lived her summer. I swear I got her for life. To just come on back to my I do need to jump up a front and I'm gonna be on God. You know, for Dookie the God. We stay the next day, I'm gonna cut up the two on. Hey, don't be born that one. I'm still on the track on God. I ain't putting on God. I'm sorry for what I've done. I'm not trying to repent for the right people that I've done. I was so stuck in my head. How much I feel that I used to smoke with. Here we go. Come on, one. I already see mama go. 1, 2. We need to speak on the make some noise. Hey, I appreciate y'all. Listen, man, if you want to follow us, want to support the youth, you can follow us on Instagram at the South Side Soul. Everything's spelled phonetically correct. The South Side Soul. That's how you will. And again, man, we have an opportunity to perform in LA. The BET Awards. We also have an opportunity to perform in Florida. Perform at Las Vegas. All original. That's good at giving it back. Y'all. They're talking about real topics. My brother BK, tune in next weekend. June 20th, I'll be at Piedmont Park. Yeah. Just want to say one more thing about this young man right here. He has an incredible opportunity to perform in LA. We need to get his flight. All right? This young man is 20 years old. He could be doing anything else. Let's get this young man in LA. Thank you.
How old are you? 20? Hey, let me give y'all a code real quick. A lot of times, us older people can't connect to the younger people because we don't want to connect to their music. We don't want to take the music. We might not like the music. You don't know how I feel. 20 years old? So anyways, we got work to do, y'all. Thank you for that performance, man. Both y'all, everybody. Give a round of applause for you, man. We're going to continue providing a platform and space for our youth here at all of our programs. So thank you for supporting them. Now I'm going to bring up Tech.
Before we jump into the rest of the panel, I want to introduce, I know the time is of an essence, so I want to first bring Ms. Moon. You might come up. She looked kind of surprised. I want to make it known that of all our guests and any comments, can we please keep them to a minimum? Thank you.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the State Board of Pardons and Parole, I know, right? The State Board of Pardons and Parole's Madam Chair Joyette Holmes and Vice Chair Wayne Bennett. It's truly an honor to stand before you at the 3rd annual Both Sides of the Gun Prevention event. My name is Crystal, and on behalf of the board, I want to begin by thanking all of the organizers, the community leaders, survivors, advocates, and every individual that's present here today that's sitting here a part of this important conversation. So this event not only represents a powerful event, and it's definitely here. It brings together from both sides of the gun. Those who have been harmed, those who have caused harm, and those working every day to prevent violence and create pathways towards healing and accountability. So today it takes courage, right? Most importantly, it takes accountability and a commitment. So on behalf of the State Board of Pardons and Paroles, we see firsthand the consequences of violence, right? Not only in the lives of the victims and their families, but also in the lives of individuals who are seeking redemption and making life-altering changes, right? The board recognizes that prevention is not just about enforcement, it's about intervention, education, second chances, and community responsibility. So events like this today, it just reminds me that when we come together, things happen. Not just in judgment, but in understanding. Not just in division, but in a purpose. So when we sit here today and we listen to each other's experiences, we build not only solutions that
that's rooted in accountability, empathy, and hope. So this afternoon is more than just a gathering. It's a movement. It's a movement that's breaking cycles of violence, it's uplifting voices, educating the youth, and strengthening the community that we all share today. So today here, your presence matters, your voice matters, and your willingness to stand on prevention, healing, trying to make a difference. So once again, on behalf of the state of the Party of the World, we are proud to be along with this mission to stand along the side of this community work. Together we can continue to build a safer community and bring futures of generations to come. Thank y'all for bringing me.
It's amazing. Before I do to our next speaker, it's amazing because it's about resources. I think we get a bad stigma sometimes when it comes to law enforcement per se, our APD partners, our role partners, our state partners. We get a bad feeling, especially as justice impacted people. But for them to take the time out of here to come to this event, to educate, to talk, to engage with the community. We can have our statements to feel a certain type of way, but we have to sometimes look at the evidence of them coming down on a Saturday when I know they don't have to. You go on a website, they go around from city to city, and victims are important when it comes to their job. So to come here to that is not only victim highlighted, but also highlighted to the other side of the gun that just impacted people. It's amazing. So let's not overlook that and give them their flowers while we can. Thank you. I want to give a shout out to our APD partners. It's not just almost definitely. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Officer Spade Miller, and I'm officially assigned to Zone 3. So if you live in Zone 3, you are my concern. I'm your morning watch officer. What does that mean? When you're sleeping, I'm patrolling. I respond to those shots. I respond to those unruly children. I also respond to those calls where we talk about resources because I serve as your PAD officer, which is the Police Alternative Diversion Officer, where we're looking at alternatives to go in a city jail. I want everyone to know, we don't come to work wanting to anybody to 2226 Peachtree Street. We don't. We want to look at what's going on. We want to hear both sides, all parties involved, and we want to make a determination and a decision so that we don't have to come back. And if we do, we will deal with what has to be done to prevent what we're dealing with every single day. Our first night here in Zone 3, I responded to 50 Decker. I was introduced to this zone by a gunshot wound victim. Okay, that changed my life. It changed my life in how I patrol. It changed my life in how I interact with mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers. One thing I know, I don't know if we have it in the room, but a mother's cry, a parent's cry is not something you ever forget. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I've been in law enforcement for 20 years. May not look it, but I know it. And one thing we say back home, especially to our youth, we say hands up, guns down, because there are alternatives. Real quick, I just want to say, if you are a member of this community, first of all, you're in beat 306, okay? Zone 3 across the city is comprised of beats. So this is beat 306. 306 is precious to me because we got Little Bear over there, we got 1683 Lakewood, we got the park, we got the park next to the park, and of course we have schools and children in the amphitheater and everything else. We sometimes have young Weezy people coming into Zone 6, yes, they come to Southwest Atlanta to party and sell tickets and entertain. But what we have is community when that all leaves, okay? And resources. If you are a youth, we have 4 phases of a program at the Alzheimer's Center, which is dedicated to the youth, okay? I see your hand go up, son. That's right, they got one of the programs of the GD program. We have 4 phases of programs there. Parents, research those programs. Put your children involved. Right now, our young people are in Orlando right now because we had a significant number of graduates with the GED, and they're in Orlando right now celebrating and enjoying. If you are an adult, I already mentioned the police alternative diversion. Okay, that's a quality of life thing. Trespassing, taking water from the store. We want to put you in jail for that. We want to get you some water and we want to get you a place to stay. And that is what we specialize in with the police alternative diversion. And finally, you know, mental health is what it is, okay? A lot of y'all in this room look like me, okay? I'm from Southside Jamaica, but was born and raised there, but lived in East Brooklyn. So you ain't telling me nothing. I'm here to bring the resources because I have devoted my life to law enforcement and community. So if it's a mental health issue, right here in Zone 3, we have the Behavioral Health of Grady, which is managed by Fulton County. The address there is 2805 Metropolitan Parkway. It's right down the block from the precinct, which is 2353 Metropolitan Parkway. What does that mean? We're not going to dump you in Grady when you live right here in Zone 3 and it's a behavioral health issue. I have personally put people in my car, taken them down for whether it's suicide, having a mental breakdown episode, so forth and so on, and that's a resource. So what I covered was the mental health, the youth, and the adult. That's everybody in this room. So make sure that when you are interacting with my colleagues that wear this uniform like me, make sure you're asking them about alternatives because I go to calls, I follow up with people. Our major, who is Major Wolford, he is very busy now because he is the incident commander for the World Cup right now. I'm very tired because this entire city is on 12-hour tours, 6 days a week. And we do what we do because you all mean everything to us. So I just want to say to your third year and to the years to come, the topics and the concerns may change, but the people won't because you all will always be here and your children and your children's children. So make sure this message is passed along. My name is Officer Miller, Zone 3, and you all be blessed.
All right, y'all. Really quick, where my pie family at? Anybody with pie? I wanted to take a quick time out just to thank my brother Squat, my brother Raheem, anybody else is behind the scenes doing the work to put together events like this. It's really important. And Nigel, which is the main point of contact, the boss of it all, you really do. You're a pillar. Thank you, Nigel, for all the work that you do. Give it a round of applause. Now, really quick, because I don't want to assume before I introduce our next speaker, how many of you have been impacted by gun violence directly or indirectly? Take a look around. Take a look around. So imagine if I was able to make the announcement into the world, how many people would raise their hand? Pay attention, man, because after this event, we need to stay connected because there's more work to do. This is just a meeting place. Our next speaker is somebody that I respect and admire. Anybody that's willing to coach our youth in athletics is extremely important because that's when you can mentor, that's when you can teach team building, all these things. And our next guest is not just a coach, but he's a community leader. He's an organizer, and he's somebody who's been doing the work for a few years. He didn't remember me when I just seen him again, but I remember him when I first started out here in Atlanta. Let's introduce Dima. Come on, brother. Y'all got to for 2 more minutes. Get up here. Go ahead. Warm it up. No, I'm playing. I appreciate it.
Hey, he said Zone 3, man. See, before I knew Zone 3 was a police officer, I was repping Zone 3. It's tatted on me. Cleveland Avenue, Lakewood, Brownsville, Metropolitan, Mechanicsville, Summerhill. It was Zone 3 to me. So I could ride my bike all the way around the whole Zone 3 and be safe. Yesterday, going back up to the office, at Dunbar Recreation Center, two 12-year-olds shooting at each other. And the same day, prior to coming, our organization, we was having a conversation about gun violence in our community and how do we make a real impact. And it hit right around our front door. 12-year-olds shooting at each other, both of them leaving, both of them hurt. So that's zone 3. That's the zone 3 I knew. The zone 3 I grew up with gun violence was at your doorstep. Thank you all for letting me talk today. Thank Pod, thank everybody who has put this event together. We'll talk about how the community is impacted when it comes to gun violence. Gun violence is a public safety and economic issue. I'm gonna talk about the human cost of gun violence. Gun violence is taking lives in a large way. Black Americans were nearly 14 times likely to die from gun violence. Black men 15 to 34 represent 2% of the United States, but account for 36% of firearm homicide. So I'm gonna say it again, we represent 2% of the United States, but 36% of death by homicide. Gun violence is the number one cause of death for children and teens in America. So when we think about our youth future, gun violence is taking us youth out really, really fast. Gun violence, we talk about the individual tragedy. Gun violence impacts in some of our communities. We acknowledge that. We mourn it, and then we move on. So that's another thing we have to work on. We acknowledge that gun violence is in our community. We mourn it and we move on. Hospitals, emergency services, insurances, court systems, workplace, schools, public budget, all are affected by gun violence. We talk about the hidden cost of gun violence. Healthcare spending goes up, workforce participation, economic mobility, property values, public investment. Gun violence is a preventable harm. Understanding the root causes of gun violence. What drives communities to gun violence? Research says concentrated in poverty, housing instability, lack of economic opportunities, educational inequalities, environmental hazards, and historic disinvestment. So this is some of the causes that continue to plague our communities and continue to provide opportunities for gun violence in our communities. Many of these conditions stem from redlining, segregation, and unequal public investment. So I like programs like PAD and other programs that's directly investing into our communities and not into jail. The unemployment rate, so like structural inequality that comes from gun violence. Unemployment rate that rises about 20%, limited access to food, shortages in affordable housing, underfunded schools, environmental lead and exposures. Those are some of the things that structurally directly lead to gun violence. And we also can talk about the educational and wealth gap, typical network, and gun violence riddled neighborhoods are 1/40 of the households with low property incomes compared to the rest of America. Only 14% earn a bachelor's degree, and the net worth is lower than $7,000. So when we see poverty gap, we also see gun violence. So that is my speech. I want to say thank you guys for letting me talk to you guys about gun violence in our community and how it impacts our community when it comes to economics. Thank you guys.
Give him another round of applause. Skip, where you at? I'm blind. Is Skip in here? There you go. Our next guest. Give him a round of applause. It ain't gonna take him 2 minutes. He was closer. Our next guest is here to give a real perspective. He's a voice, he's a leader, and when he walked in, everybody's like, who is that big guy right there? But no, seriously, please give Skip a round of applause, everyone. Good.
afternoon, everybody. I've heard people give the story about which side of gun violence they've been on. Unfortunately and fortunately, I've been on both sides of it. I've shot people and I've been shot. If you guys can see me close, stand right here, there's a bullet hole. Got shot with a 38 hollow point. I was in the drug game. I was considered a kingpin, big guy, whatever you want to call me. Went from Florida to Georgia to Virginia, Alabama, everywhere I could step over and get rid of it, I did. Made a name for myself. I wasn't always this big, but I had this attitude. Because normally when you see a big guy, you assume they're mean or whatever, but imagine me 80 pounds lighter, because I'm 300 pounds now. Imagine me 80 pounds lighter with this same attitude and outlook on life. Didn't care if you lived or died, cared about that dollar. So, I'm gonna talk about how I got shot, why I got shot, and the impact it made on me. When I was in the world, when you're out there, you don't care about anything about what your goal is. Your goal is to get there. So in my travel between Florida and Georgia, Virginia, where I got shot at, I was a terror. I didn't care who I hurt, how I hurt them. As long as the bottom line was met, I was satisfied. So I was in Virginia, doing what I do, making friends, having a little entourage with me, whatever. We went to this nightclub, the Galaxian, something to that effect. I did the VIP thing like you see the rappers do now today. I bought one whole section of the club out. We were having a ball. Met this young lady. You know what, that comes with the territory. Come to find out, she was the ex-girlfriend of a bigger drug dealer than myself. Had no idea who he was, didn't know anything about it. I was there for my little month or two, make my money and leave. He was there with his entourage. He made his way over to our booth where we were, and he looked me square in my face. And I'm not gonna curse, but you can get the gist of what I'm about to say. He said, boy, y'all people, MFs, think y'all this, think y'all that, this is my time. I was like, no, tonight is mine. And he slapped me. Now I'm 6'4", he was about 5'8", 5'9". So as soon as he slapped me, I turned and I looked back at him, I was like, boy, you don't know what you did. Again, surrounded and everything else, this was his nightclub. I didn't know that. So security immediately grabbed me and he started hitting me. Now he wasn't hurting me, but as soon as I got loose, my mindset is, I'm gonna kill you. Again, he was thinking the same thing. So long story short, I'm in my car waiting on my entourage to get in their car to leave. Got my music up loud, flies in, you know, being the person that I thought I was. And I didn't hear gunshots. Bullets hit my car. Every single window in my car was shut out, with the exception of the rear view mirror. So when I finally realized I'm being shot at, I reached the turn of the out, I grabbed my gun, and I turned like this, and I get shot in the head. I remember every single instance of it. I turned back to the car and I thought, man, I think I got shot. I had on a purple and white Fila short set. Fila was like what Nike is now. It was blood red from how much blood was going out of my head. I put the car when I put the drive, and I slammed it down in low and stomped the gas and took off. You know, when a little kid, you can only get so fast. So I'm and I'm looking around, I look in the mirror and I see headlights behind me. They come to kill me. That's all I can think about. It was my uncle. He caught me in his car, said, man, pull over, what's going on? I said, man, I think I'm shot. I said, well, no, you ain't shot. So now it looked like it. That's when he saw what I couldn't see. My head is swollen up. The bullet, when it entered, I have it to my brain. By it being a hollow point, it exploded, like a hollow point is supposed to do. So part of it went over here. The biggest part went into my brain, into the head, and the other part went down by my ear. Now, I know you can't see where the scar is, Well, they had to cut my shoulder from the top, from the right side of my left ear to my ear to do brain surgery. Stayed in surgery for 18 and a half hours. Before I went into surgery, I told my uncle, my mother's brother, don't call my mama until I come out of surgery. When I woke up 7 days later, my mama was in the room. A lot of people would think that's enough to change it. It wasn't. And I don't want to sit up here all day and tell the story, but the point I want to make is, it doesn't matter how tough you think you are, how big you are, or where you think you're going when you're out here in the streets breaking the law. Those people, the cops, the good citizens, good neighbors, are going to put you in a predicament, jail or graveyard, that you don't want to be. So I told that story to say that when people say, oh, you know, he got caught, he's tough, he's this and that, the scariest thing in my life was watching my mother cry because she couldn't fix the situation. And if there were a lot of young people here, I would say one thing: if you love and respect your mother, don't put her in a situation she can't fix. Now, just because you do feel mama car, you know, that seems good, but you got to think about all the stress and the strife you're putting on them for that money that was earmarked for them to get your sorry self back on the street to continue that cycle. So I'm telling you guys this today because I have now realized my purpose. I'm from South Florida, but more people in the city of Atlanta and Decatur and College Park and all the surrounding areas know me here than know me in the whole state of Florida. And I was there for 40 plus years of my life because I've made an impact here on the car show scene. I host and put on car shows. I do speaking engagements like this, and I've ingratiated myself with this community to where they respect me enough to ask advice, to help, you know, get help with car shows. And this is how I met, you know, a lot of these guys here because they were doing a car show. They had no idea who I was and what I was about. So, if you guys, if there are any kids here that think, man, he's just telling his story, all of us are the same thing. It don't apply to me. Take any part of what you hear and say, you know what, that part might apply to me, but the rest of it didn't. And use it to better yourself. Because I know God had his hand on me. None of you guys know a person that got shot in the head and can stand up here and talk and tell the story about how they got shot, why they got shot, and what they did after. So with that being said, I own a church business here in Atlanta now, or in Decatur. I live in Decatur, but I service anywhere in Atlanta. I own a church business. That's my gift back to the community because I'm able to talk to people one-on-one. I'm the only employee, myself and my wife. So that's my story. So before I leave the podium, I would like to call up Miss Keisha, Miss Madison Hope. Now this is a surprise to everybody. Nobody knew this. But yeah, just come on up here. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a Strong Survival Award. I've been talking with Raheem and Rob and everybody the last week or so, and this award says the Strong Survival Award presented to from Positive Outreach Development, presented to Akeisha, Miss Madison Hope, in recognition of your extraordinary strength, resilience, perseverance in the face of life's unpredictable obstacles. Your journey reflects a true embodiment of healing, forgiveness, and unwavering faith. Through your continued commitment to the society and your dedication to living your purpose, you inspire others to overcome adversity and embrace hope. Continue to be a beacon of faith, healing, and purpose. And last but not least, I need Miss Paulette. This is also a Strong Survival Award. And on behalf of Positive Outreach Development, Ms. Paulette Smith, your remarkable journey, your enduring faith, and your commitment to turning path into purpose. A true survivor is not defined by what they have lost, but by the strength with which they continue to live, lead, and inspire. Thank you so much. All right, that's my freestyle. Hope y'all got something from it, from both sides of the game. So thank you.
Congratulations to both of you. That's amazing. As we move into the mental health and trauma relief segment, I am pleased to introduce a powerful advocate, author, and speaker whose work has brought hope and healing to countless individuals. As a leader with Alliance for Safety and Justice and Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice, he has dedicated his life to supporting survivors and creating safer communities. Please help me welcome Oswald Thomas.
Thank you, Whitney. Chris, a few minutes ago, right, you had everyone raise their hand. So raise your hand again if you've been impacted by violence. Raise your hand. Right, so I would say it's the majority of us. If you had raised, now everyone, it's majority, everyone in here has been impacted by violence. Now keep your hand raised if you and your family receive support from the state's victim compensation program. Wow, look around the room, y'all. So 100% of us have been victims, but 99% of us have never received support from the state's victim compensation program. Right, despite the state of Georgia receiving about $270 million in funding for victims, but none of us received any support to help us heal and recover. Let that sink in, right? And that's just us in this room. Think about everybody else across the city who's been impacted by violence, but never got any support or services. And for me, back in 2009, I had just graduated from college. I was the first male in my family to ever graduate from college. I was also a star college basketball player as well. So the year 2009, that was like the highest point of my life. I graduated from college and was on my way to play professional basketball. But unfortunately, it became the lowest point in my life when I was shot twice in my back. And that incident, it ended my professional basketball career. And like so many victims, I survived that shooting and I was released back to that same community with no help. Right, my doctors, they prepared me for the physical challenges that I would have recovering from those 2 gunshot wounds to my back, but they never prepared me for the psychological effects of that shooting. Right, dealing with the PTSD, the anxiety, stress, the nightmares, the flashbacks. Right, also having to be in community, recovering from that shooting, but also not knowing who shot me as well. So think about that, right? Even if you survive and skip this year's story of surviving, what we often don't talk about enough is what we go through after we survive and what parents and families go through after they lose their loved one, right? And so me recovering from that shooting, law enforcement, they came to visit me several times. And every time they came to visit me, to be honest with you all, I just got extremely frustrated because it was always about the case, right? They never asked me how I was doing. They never told me about any victim services. They never told me about the victim advocate that's in their department that's supposed to work with victims like myself. So the law enforcement never provided any support. The hospital just discharged me, never followed up with me. So I was left to get that experience on my own with no help. And that was such a traumatic experience for me. But the thing that kind of like changed my life and my perspective about crime, violence, safety, justice, and healing was the 2 years after I was shot, the bullets were so close to my spinal cord, they couldn't remove them for years. So I had multiple surgeries, and my last surgery to remove the bullet out of my back. My doctor, started to tell me this story after he performed a surgery on me of this 14-year-old patient who he had treated 4 years before I was shot. And the more details that my doctor was sharing about that teenager, I was realizing that he was describing the person that shot me. Right? And so the doctor that saved my life saved the life of the teenager that shot me 4 years ago.
right? But just like me, he was released from that same hospital back into that same community with no help, right? And I know what it's like to not have any support. So I really feel like his unaddressed trauma, right, played a huge role in my shooting years later, because many of us aren't as victims, so we don't get any help support from public safety system that's designed to help us, right? And so that started me on this journey of working with crime victims and survivors all across the country through my organization, Crime Survivors Speak. We have over 200,000 members across the country. And through our work, and we don't provide direct services, we organize and change policies. We've been able to change policies all across the country, pass over 100 bills. We've been able to move about $3 billion out of the justice system and reallocating those resources back into our communities for violence prevention programs, for rehabilitation programs as well, right? And I'll close with this. Throughout the city of Atlanta, there are amazing organizations who are doing incredible work. So if you have a community-based organization that provides support to survivors, raise your hand. Right? Most of you who are doing incredible work don't get the funding that you need, right? Most of us as victims don't get access to victim compensation program. Most communities, victims don't have a place to go in that neighborhood to get access to comprehensive mental health services, right? And so what we need to do is what we do all across the country. We need to do this here in the state of Georgia, here in Atlanta. We need to build political power, to organize, to change policies and laws in this state. So I'm excited to be part of this conversation of bringing together both sides of the gun, right? Because many of us who have survived, many people that have caused harm, they were victims long before they even came in contact with the justice system, right? And so we are here to not only share our stories, to hear together, to connect, but my call to action is for everyone here. Let's organize, let's build power to bring more resources and services in our community so we can stop crime and violence from happening in the first place. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Alpha, for sharing your story. Our next speaker is an author, speaker, and nonprofit founder dedicated to helping individuals and communities heal from grief, trauma, and loss. Through her work, she inspires hope and promotes healing for those navigating life's most difficult challenges. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Cynthia Williams. Hey, y'all. We're here. I want to first just get some stuff out the way. I need to know who lost their child recently this year, 2026. Anyone in the room that lost their child 2026? Okay. Anyone lost their child 2025? Okay. I have something for you, Mr. Collier. We're going to give it to Mr. Collier. As I've given you many gifts, here's another. You guys have to know how profound Mr. Collier is and what he's doing. And just great. He actually was honored with our Challenger Award that our organization gives to families who've lost someone in any capacity. Our goal is to teach you that you have to grieve and you have to grieve properly. So again, yes, I am the founder of Love From Afar. Small little plug, you can follow me at Love From Afar. Today, I want to let you guys know that, it's my story. I want to teach you that my story can help you share your story, but you got to share your story, okay? Let's be clear that the story can't just be your story and you hold on to it. And I can tell you that it's important that you share the story because if you look to your right and your left, somebody has 2 ears and 1 mouth. They listen in more than they talk, and they need to hear the story, okay? So let's be clear, I wrote some stuff today, and if you know me, if you see me in rooms, I really speak from the dome, but it was important that I did this because I want everyone to hear what this is really doing for us now. The desires of the heart, the things we yearn from the desires of our hearts are often the very things we invest our lives in every day. Our love, our losses, our life lessons, our loyalty, our legacy. I can imagine a young man finding out he's about to become a father, not because he's evil, not because he doesn't care, but because he's not ready. He's now embarrassed. He's super scared. He tells himself, bro, she wasn't even the one. I'm not ready right now. I thought I was going to get it split. I can't handle this responsibility. And all of those thoughts become reasons for doing nothing. Then I imagine another father, a father whose heart has been waiting for someone who will love him simply because he's him. Not because of what they heard about him, not because of what they told about him, just because he's their father. So from the very beginning, he does everything he can to become the father his heart has always desired to be. Because what he wanted more than nothing else was a child who could love him for himself. Then there's the mother. The moment she learns of a life that is growing inside her, fear arrives. Whether she's ready or not, whether she's planned it or not, whether she's prepared or not, she knows one thing: my life is about to change forever. Questions begin to surface. Who the daddy? Will it be him? Is it him? I just was looking for love. Is he gonna stay? I wonder if he's gonna support me. Can I really do this? And then there are questions we carry about ourselves. Questions we buried so deep that we may never tell anyone. Some truths we'll take to the grave. Some questions have possibilities, some don't. Some women have only loved one man in their lives. Some have loved multiple. Sometimes because of love, sometimes because of survival. Sometimes because life forced difficult choices. But life has a way of placing pressure, and I'm saying pressure on your heart. And the pressure expresses our thoughts. I've learned that when our hearts and our actions don't line up, turmoil seems to enter. Pain then enters. Anger enters. Exhaustion enters. Confusion enters. Because we're trying to become something we're not ready to be. The truth is, none of us are ever fully ready to become parents. And becoming a parent changes our lives forever. Yet so much of what we do is to please someone else. And we forget we have to please ourselves in order to be the best parent we can be. The child, the family, they all need us. The people attached to the family, the partner and your homegirls who was with you when you met them, but you thought it was just going to be a one-night stand, and then you realize you got 20 more years with this person. And yeah, I know, yeah, I'm by myself. But somewhere along the way, we have to make a decision that says, I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to be the best version of myself that I can be. And not for them, just for me. And I haven't even told you the important part. That is what my heart came up with. When you're silent with yourself, the opinions of others lose their power. Do you hear me? When you're silent with yourself, the opinions of others lose their power. Because when you know who you are, nobody else's confusion can become your identity. So remind yourself, you are who you are called to be, whether you walk with that purpose or not, or whether you walk against it, the consequences belong to you anyway. So choose wisely, walk boldly, and be who you were created to be. Free yourself from yourself so that you no longer are in the prison you put yourself in. Free yourself from yourself so you are no longer in the prison you put yourself in.
See, we shouldn't have sit up and think that we're making these decisions based on who we are and who we around. No, we base the decisions based on the bloodline we came from and the one we interacted with that created the baby that we were creating together. So now we got two bloodlines. The problem is we don't know the people we created the bloodline with. And then we try to figure out how to raise the kid. And then you be like yourself, who's like myself. I got to bury a kid at 17 because at 17, the first time I had sex, I got pregnant. You couldn't have told me I was going to bury that child. I was just running from the house because I was molested in the house and I didn't want to be in the house. And so I started selling drugs and I started being myself in where I was comfortable at. I didn't realize it was going to end me in prison, and I didn't realize I was going to come home from prison and then have to bury a child and decide if it was the drugs I sold that God took him from me. No, it's the life that's under the voice I'm giving you today. It's why he was taken from me, so I can help you understand. You got to live again after a loss. It could be a great loss. It could be the loss of a parent. But if it's a loss of a child, you got to know you're special because you now have an angel you can call your own instead of Michael and the ones that God said he was going to give us. And if you don't attach to that angel to say, hey, dude, probably busy because there's so many people in the world that need him, but because I got this direct connect to him with you, tell him to make sure he don't leave me. I wasn't ready for you to go. And I'm sure he knows that because I wasn't even ready to be your mother. But now that I am your mother, and now that you're in God's place, and I got to learn how to keep myself unbalanced until I get there, why don't y'all help me be who you called me to be by learning how to love, learning how to accept the losses, knowing the lessons we teach you. You got to be mindful who you're loyal to because we live in a world of displaced loyalty. And if you're doing it for everybody God has you attached to, you got to know that legacy is necessary. Keep going, keep growing, and keep glowing. Thank you.
Let's give you Dr. another round of applause. I wanted to tell you something. I learned something recently. I'm privileged and honored to work with some amazing people that work in the survivor space. And I want y'all to all do me a big favor. If, for instance, for some reason you see yourself as a victim, you're not. We don't use that word. We're survivors. And we have to change the perspective on things here, now. And it starts with the language. This language holds value. And what it is we survive, we push through, we're still here, even if it hurts. We're still able to fight, we go forward. So, I want y'all to do me a really quick favor. On the count of 3, I want you to say, I am a survivor. Can y'all do that with me? With some power and some authority? 1, 2, 3. I am a survivor. One more time. 1, 2, 3. I am a survivor. Thank y'all. And that's the perfect segue because we need hope right now. Sometimes this topic can be heavy, but we're going to bring in a message of hope, a message of resilience, and a message of transformation. Miss Madison, how are you here? Can you make your way up to the front? Thank you. Y'all got to keep going. You know the rule. We got to keep clapping. No, for real. Appreciate y'all, man.
Hey, girl, hey. Okay, y'all. Bear with me. I'm nervous. I'm old. All right. This is my first time ever standing in front of anybody trying to speak. My mouth big enough for that. I'm sorry. Okay, so my message is healing beyond the faith. My name is today. And before I speak about healing, I want to share with you about why this story is so helpful. So at the age of
I lost my father to gun violence. At the age of 16, I lost my father to gun violence. That's not the only person I lost to gun violence. I've lost a few cousins, a few other family members, and this is just as of recent. We've lost one a couple of years ago. He was shot in his own home by his stepson, and the stepson has went to court, is out walking the streets because whatever the reason, I don't know. I didn't leave in the house. It's not a word. So I know what it feels like to receive a phone call that majority of us have gotten that day. That phone call changed all of our lives. I know what it feels like to sit in the anger, the unanswered questions, the confusion, the pain. Like, I've been there for now 29 years. In the last year or two, I'm getting answers, right? It's not easing my pain, but it made me feel better about my healing journey. For a long time, I believed that the healing would just mean the pain would be gone. The pain is never leaving, guys. It never leaves. I can honestly say that I lost my father 29 years ago, and I still have a moment where I feel like it was yesterday when my grandma came and knocked on my door to give me a bad news. So, in my journey, I've learned that healing is not the absence of pain. Healing is learning how to carry the pain without allowing it to kill you. That is so easy for me to say for the people who are just pain into this pain. It's really easy for me to say that because I'm further along in my healing journey. Healing is not a destination. It's not. You can't plan what day, what time. If you're gonna heal in Miami, if you're gonna do it, so you can't plan it because you just never know what your healing journey will look like once you start. And some days are easier than others. Some days old wounds be open. Some days memories come rushing back. Yet every day we have to choose to live, right? We have to choose to keep moving forward because they're not here but you are, right? You still have to get up, wash your face, use the bathroom, take a sip of water. You still have to do that just for you every day. So I learned, I knew about forgiveness. We all know about forgiveness. If you've been in church and you got a grandma, you know about forgiveness. You learn at an early age. But a lot of times when things happen, it's real hard to forgive. It's very hard to forgive, right? Depending on what it was. But also in my healing journey, I wanted to forgive, right? I needed to forgive. And the reason I needed to do that was to just release this burden that I was carrying. Because the longer I had to walk everything in my hurt, it happened to me when I was a child, so I never knew how to process it. I was angry. Like anything would set me off. I would, you, hurt anybody. It'd be real fast. So, and I had to learn that came from hurt, with the unanswered questions, with the pain, with the grief that I had to stand every day. So again, in that, I chose to forgive the people. And there's a lot of them. There's 7 people that was involved with my father, right? About 7. And was it 8? I forgave the other 7, but the 8th one I am really working on. Because without being the reason, it probably would have been the incident. So God is working with me on that. I still feel about that every day. But that's the one person I didn't forgive, the person that was the cause of it. I'm still working on that. I am still healing. Amen. So it's crazy because people always say, how could you forget that person? Like, I could never. I was just trying to do this and do that. And I had to forgive them because I was carrying the burden of the hurt, the unanswered questions, the confusion. So with that, you know, people hurt. Sometimes hurt, but sometimes we know that because we just do it every day. This is our everyday thing. So today, I want to ask you guys to work on what healing would look like for you. You know, what you would want to take to try to heal. I'm sorry, y'all. Just a little more. So I would like to see everybody in this room, right? To those who lost someone to gun violence,
I see you. I am you. I still feel you. And every day I have to choose to wake up. Okay. I'm in this grief moment. Let me live. And I how does so if I'm a child, 19 today, right? And I'm sitting my own to try to get myself to the 5 years I have in my mind about my healing journey. Like, it's crazy. If I can put 5 to 10 minutes in breathing, I can start my day. I can move on because I share my mind with my people that I'm with. And for that, it kind of tells me, like, okay, you go ahead, got him, let me go do me. You know, and it took, I just got here last year, y'all. I just got here last year. I've been on this journey for a long time. So to the people who have lost people to gun violence, I see you, I understand your pain, I am you. You are not alone. To those who have made choices that they wish they can take back, you know, I see you too. You did what you did at the moment. We was not there. We don't know what happened, why it happened. But thank God that you are here today and that you can live in that. And hopefully you are healed from that situation as well. Again, I see you. Your past is not becoming your future at all, guys. Don't let that hold you back. So my message to both groups is the same. Healing is possible. It may not happen overnight. It may not happen when you expect it, but it is possible. Okay? It is, guys. Just hold on to that hope. You ain't gonna heal overnight, but over time, it gets just a little bit better to be able to breathe. And there's wait on that, but that's part of it. Healing begins when you touch yourself. It begins when you ask yourself. It begins when you stop working to define your entire life. We cannot change yesterday. We cannot undo the shots. We cannot hold that we lost. But we can decide what happens next. We can choose understanding over hatred. We can choose accountability over denial. We can choose growth over forgiveness. And we can choose healing over hopelessness. My father's life mattered. My cousin's life mattered. My friend's life mattered. Your family's life mattered. So we honor them by not remaining trapped in our grief, but by continuing the work of healing, education, prevention, and community building. I was telling somebody the other day, like, you real old. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna eat this. I'm old, I'll be 26 next month. I said, but you know, when he was coming up, we had a community that raised kids. Not my mother and her sisters. It was my mom, the old lady, the pet man over there, the pet man over there. Wherever you was in our place, somebody can check you as a child and get you back correct. We can't do that today. And a lot of that is my fault. Your fault, his fault, her fault. It's a lot of our fault because we got out of it when we thought we had done so wrong as children, you know, being chastised, and we got out of it. So now today, we're here, we want to get a plan together, right? Like, how can we save our children? And not just saving our children, because we got to save ourselves from children. So that's what community building would come in at. And, you know, we ask everybody to do voice your opinion, voice, you know, what you see, you think can help. And we're there to move forward as a community. So if we choose to continue to choose compassion and continue to choose one another, then together we can create a future where fewer families have to experience the pain of gun violence. Thank y'all.
I just told her that I was feeling what she said. I don't know if you heard her. She did a mic drop a few times, but she said, we can choose healing over hopelessness. We can choose that. Just like violence doesn't have to exist in the hood. We can all choose to sit the guns down. But we got to make it clear. Our next guest is going to be speaking another message of hope in Thaw. I want to, the brother got support his business. He got the Philly water ice. If y'all know, it's 1,000 degrees outside. But you know them people that support you all the time, consistently, quietly, no strings attached? That's his brother right here for me, man. I really appreciate him. Give him a round of applause, man. and thought. Y'all gotta keep.
I did 17 years. I'm blessed to see his. I don't know what I think, but I saw when I first saw him in get through. A room for the God, or a heart, the father for the father, the city, father. You will not understand because my room is here and left in the father. Because I was here when that was father. The term of father. To begin, to finish, going to the end, to finish on that. And you don't see it now. There's a right, there's a present, my man, my life, right now. Just waiting today, allow me to hear, in particular, for your to hear my voice. Because just here, I dropped my last year on the cell with joy of knowing after 17 years, this will be my last year. In the case, in the whole, in the system, going over time with lose control of the weekends ago. It doesn't matter. But it's about ministry of the love. Happiness and peace like that has to start with love. Beautiful happiness. Can I get a witness and cherish what's the gift of me? Because now the big life is being free. So we live for a reason, and that's who's God is doing. We can't predict because the next time we will all go on. So this is a way, and not just a color, but as a culture of color. So on we cover about reset in mind because what a mind is the heart is. So if we all react on the reaction that happens to us, we will still be out. So the order we do is pray for the mind from each and every individual. Because right now, in here, crime is gun. So it's not suicide. It's not about you. So we got a lot of crime happens because we took negative for the mind. In order to be, I have to use the mind. Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you.
Before we start our panel, I want to say something real quick. You know, what's amazing is to see guys you may have done time with come out on this side. Let's see, come out on this side, and you're being an effective person. See, if Chris or anybody else weren't great role models, some of these guys will be here today, and I think that's where it starts. You know, in our community, having these mentors in their own right come into society and really change the environment. So when I see their faces and hear their stories, it makes us feel like, you know, we're doing something right. So with that being said, Ms. Whitney.
So as we go into the next segment of the program, this is probably one of my favorite parts, and this is our panel discussion. So if you are a part of the panel, if you can start making your way to the front and sit in these seats here, then we'll go ahead and get started.
Man, never stop.
Hey y'all, she gonna say it again. Y'all are all powerful, dynamic speakers, but we want to fit all y'all in and ask all y'all 3 questions. I was just on the panel with you. That's it. How you doing, man? Somebody somebody hold it.
And before we get started on the questions, if each of you can just introduce yourselves by stating your name. If you have any organizations that you're a part of, you can say that at this time.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Paulette Smith. I am here because my 22-year-old son, Jonathan McWilliams, was murdered on August 31st of 2021. I didn't get the phone call. I actually came home and found him murdered in his bedroom. I have been a part of several organizations over the last 4 years, advocating for youth and grieving moms. I've been a part of Mothers Against Gang Violence for, I think, about 4 years now. I have also been a part of Incredible Messengers, which help with summer camps for youth. I've done that for 3 years as well. I've been a part of Gangsters to Growers, which is an organization that also helps youth become agriculturally, so we can grow our own food and we can supply our own needs. So that is who I am. Hello, everybody. I'm thankful and blessed to be here. It's a hard seat to sit in, but I sit in for my son, Jonathan. I really do.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Mohammed Hafiz. I am the Director of Community Engagement with Policing Alternatives and Diversion Initiative, also known as PAD. I come here with a lot of experience in nonprofit, but I come here as a son of a man who's from Griffin, Georgia, a man who dealt with mental health disorders, a man who dealt with substance use, a man who actually was incarcerated and justice impacted. And so my dad is the reason why I do the work that I do, because if there was a path from my dad, what could have happened to him, how his life could be changed if he had the resources, if he was able to be connected to the resources that he needed. My dad ended up shooting somebody and hurting somebody, almost killing them. They did not die. But I sit here as a person that looks at those impacted as those who survived, as people who I honor and I want to respect this space. And so usually, typically, Pat is not invited to the CVI space, but I'm excited to be here and just to meet with you guys and talk about the work that we do.
Hey again. So I'm Dr. Cynthia. I am the founder of Love from Afar. It's the Christopher Allen Williams Foundation that I created after my son Christopher was 17 and killed in a car crash. I then began a grieving doula agency where I actually give grieving tools to get you prepared for therapy and psychiatry, and depending on how far your grief takes you, if you need medicine or any of that, we put it in the hands of the right people who can help you do that. But the biggest of it is just accepting the grief and knowing that you have to move forward with your destiny. So again, thanks for having me.
I'm Deep. I was incarcerated 25 years. I've been out 13 now. Since I've been out, I've been a mentor, football coach. Right now I do CVI work. Been doing CVI work about 5 years. And I'm sure you all know how that's going about today, but I'm better known as ATL. I'm all through the city, I'm all in the city, I'm in every hood. Love the city. And this church should be full to capacity. There should be people waiting outside to hear what we got to say in here. So I'm in my feelings today because, I mean, hey, it's not enough of us doing this, but I'm D. Peace and blessings. Good afternoon. My name is Ken Collier, current candidate for State House, District 62. More importantly, I'm an advocate. I'm a father, not just a father, I'm a grieving father, right? I lost my 17-year-old son, Ken Collier Jr. last year to gun violence. Years earlier, on his 10th birthday, I lost his mom to gun violence as well. So for the past years, I've been right here in the community, doing work, helping our young people, helping families that's been affected by gun violence. I currently run an organization called Futures Without Fear. And I started the organization last year. Last year was my first time here at both sides of the gun, and it did two things for me. One, I was in a room with so many survivors, so many parents that's lost their loved ones, that's lost their child, and just watching them get through year one, year two, year 5, right? It gave me hope that I can get through it too, right? It gave me connection with some of the parents that experiencing the same thing that I'm experiencing. A lot of times,
It's hard, especially when you don't have anybody that's been through the same thing that you've been through, that you can talk to, that you can call on, that you can cry with, right? So that helped me. Also, just being in the room with so many people that was on the other side of the gun, right? And they cause harm to so many other people, and just watching how they're working years later to redeem themselves and doing so many positive things for the community and try to stop violence. That's something else that kept me from crashing out last year as well, right? Knowing that there's so many people that cause harm that's in the same position as the boys that took my son's life, with some kind of left me with some kind of hope that, hey, maybe one day they'll be in the same shoes and give it back as well. So that helped me a lot. But after that event, all I can do is just think about how I'm gonna change my community, how I'm gonna make the community safer. I would think about it, have visions about it all day long, even sleep and have dreams about it, right? And God gave me a vision one night. He said, because so many of us are afraid to chase our visions or chase our dreams, of course, other people live in a nightmare, right? And that did something for me. I launched my nonprofit last year. And since then, we've been working hard every single day to help young people that's been affected by violence. We've been providing resources, jobs, over 101 young people last year, all just impacted young people. Giving them hope, opportunity, flying them out to Chicago, to Florida, putting them in other rooms that they've never been in before, putting them on planes that they've never been on before, putting them in new cities and new rooms, right? And I understood like that's what opportunity and access look like for our young people. But also, this gave me a deeper calling and pushing to keep doing what I'm already doing. But how can I take all my lived experiences, right, turn that pain into purpose, and get out here every day and keep my son's name alive? Every time I see young people, I think about my son. I see my son's face on their face. And I also said I want it for my young man, I want it for them. So I wake up every single day with the only purpose of making our community safer, keeping my son's name alive, right? And turning my pain into purpose. So that's it. I'm Moody. I served 15 years in federal prison for use of a firearm resulting in violence that resulted in death. I started rebuilding myself when I understand, and this is one of the questions they're gonna ask me, so it's just really an introduction, so I need to just keep it, but understanding your choices when you're young. Like, you don't know it's gonna affect you. In the moment, you're there, right? Living it every day, trying to get your money, trying to survive, trying to be hold up a certain image, you know, whatever life you're in, whatever lifestyle you're in. I started a nonprofit organization, SELF, which means self-elevation lasts forever, because me personally, I believe it starts with myself. I believe it starts with myself. No matter if I have the good mentors here or the teachers or the policemen in place and these things, it's still a choice I gotta make. My mother, God rest her soul, but it starts with myself. So starting my organization, we provide services for the youth because I believe it started with me when I was younger. So the youth violence prevention, that's why I'm a motivational speaker for youth violence prevention. I'm striving to give them a different perspective of the choices that they make. How it's gonna affect you. I was 22, 23, 15 years, gone. Because I woke up and I said, I'm strapped up, about to go get some money. Not understanding those minute choices, very small, can affect your whole entire life. My right-hand man, 2 life sentences plus 20. That's how old he was, 22. My young boy, 4 life sentences plus 80. Guess how old he was, 19. Understand, gun violence, toting the gun every day. This is my life, this is what I'm on. Okay, your choice, absolutely.
But okay, elevate yourself. I strive to put myself in a better position in life by making the right choices. Today I stand in front of you, sitting in front of you, as a motivational speaker for youth violence prevention. I just came home last year. I'm working for the state as a forensic peer specialist, dealing with mental health and behavior modifications individuals. I'm also putting myself in position as being a mentor to you. I have a few of them, and I'm striving to get more. I'm working in programs in the communities, in different counties. I'm new to Atlanta, but I'm everywhere. Well, you in Virginia, you gonna drive all the way there? Oh, that's where they need me at? I'm there. But I understand it's the choices I make. But I'm gonna continue talking later on though.
How y'all doing? My name is Dr. Omar Howard. I am have a lot of hats, but 1993, I never thought I would see myself inside of a county jail charged with 13 major felons, from aggravated assault, armed robbery, manslaughter. A kid that had desires to have a life, but just chose a different path. But shortly after I got locked up, I realized that's not where I wanted to be at. And I started changing my life while I was in prison. And while I was in prison, I started doing a lot of speaking to schools and stuff to come in. And I embraced my faith as a Christian. Just set my path on reshaping my life, as this young brother said. But when they passed the laws in Georgia and started sending those young men down there, it really did something to me. It really made me want to reshape my life in a different space. And while I was in prison, I was what you call like a model inmate to some degree, because I had a desire to change my life. I had a desire to do something different. And when I got out in 2007, I didn't really know what path I was on, but I knew God had a calling in my life. I didn't realize in that perspective that some of the things that He wanted to have me do. First of all, I didn't want to go back inside of prison. But I was called back in to the Atlanta Transition on Ponce Leon as a chaplain, which was unheard of. I was still on parole. They allowed me to come back in as a volunteer. Fast forward there, 2018, I received the first part of my pardon. And I just told you, at 2018, I received a pardon. They didn't get my gun rights back. They gave me a pardon. 2019, I got a phone call, so for the application in, they want to hire you on at the Department of Corrections full-time as an employee. So I went from a convicted felon as a ward of the state to an actual employee getting benefits with the Department of Corrections. First time I ever done that. That was in 2019. Since then, if I back up, in 2010, I started my own nonprofit called Freedom is a Choice. It was geared toward encouraging youth to choose freedom over incarceration. I always believe life is about choices and consequences. And I always want to encourage kids about choices and life choices. And so that's what I started my mission on. I became a public speaker, motivational speaker. I've worked with organizations from Department of Fulton County. I was doing the Scared Straight program 5 years. U.S. Attorney's Office, I was the first public speaker for them. Everywhere, I've done everything. OAA, I've done it all. I've spoken to everybody. But my main goal was to encourage our youth to make better choices. I never want to walk around like it's a badge of honor that I made some bad decisions. One of the reasons why I do so, and one of the reasons I do the things I do, because I want to deter kids from the way they think and get them in a better perspective. It's unfortunate. I just applied for my second part of my pardon back earlier this year, and when I got 2 phone calls, one from the victim of a murder charge, which I had already made my amends with them, and then I got another phone call from the person that got robbed. And it really hit me that somebody still was suffering 30-some years later. So when she got that paper about the pardon, she just broke down crying. And just so having one of my close friends of them, I never thought I would see those folks again ever. And when I got the phone call, all I could do was cry. But I was like, man, those choices affect somebody's life. And I remember calling on my partner, and I don't like really being vulnerable. But I cried and I'm like, man, I just really hate the life that I live and the choices I made. But just gave me more motivation. So, just a month ago, I got a second part of my partner, gave my gun rights back. So it's also inspired. I didn't get it back because I wanted to be around here like a cowboy. I got it back because I wanted to inspire other brothers, man. That when you reshape your life, you change, like God will start opening up doors for you. And so that's what God did. I traveled all over the United States, speaking to federal prisons, state prisons. And like I say in the cab can, I work my own mentoring program. I mentored one of my friends up here, his nephews. And so I just do what I do in the community, man. I am a servant to the community. And I just want to encourage y'all, man, all my brothers that have been incarcerated, man, thank y'all for what y'all doing, the service that y'all doing. And all to all the parents and everybody's been affected, man, my heart goes out to y'all. And I pray to God that y'all will forgive and continue to allow that to become purpose in your life. But that's all I say, man. Thank y'all for allowing me to be here today. All right.
Well, thank you so much to all of our panelists for doing the introductions. We'll go into the first question, which is going to be for Ms. Paulette Smith. You had mentioned in your introduction that you have lost your son to gun violence, and we want to definitely give our condolences to you and your family. Our question is, how has that changed your life, and what do you wish people understood about the lasting impact gun violence has on families?
Losing my son changed everything about me. It changed my whole entire life. I tell people now a lot of times, like, I'm not the same person. It's hard for my family to understand me. It's even hard for me to understand me sometimes. I think if people feel like it happens to you and you just get over it, but you don't. It rips your life apart. I was left where I had a job, my career. After 17 years, I came home and found my son murdered and never went back. I just totally walked away. Once that happened, then my income was gone. I was one of the families who did take advantage of the victims' compensation from Georgia. I mean, they gave me $4,000 months later towards my son's funeral, but I had to have the up cost, money to bury my son. It rips you apart. My son was killed in the home that we shared, and maybe a year later, they put the apartment that he was murdered in on my credit. So then I couldn't go find anywhere to live. I literally was facing homelessness. And everybody, I was walking around, as I say, working for organizations and doing everything. And I was looking just like this. And every night I was going home looking like, I don't know where I'm living. And people don't know that. They just see me, but nobody knew that I literally was facing homelessness. It rips your whole life apart. My son is a father. My grandbaby was 15 months when my son was murdered. And now I have to be a baby daddy, and I don't know how to do that either. Because I'm a mama. And I have to be responsible for a 6-year-old little girl now. I have to deal with her mom. I have to literally be a baby daddy, and I'm a woman. It's a very hard place to do. It's a hard place to be. Your life is literally ripped apart, and then you have to start over. You literally have to find something in you that tells you to get up every day and figure it out. And then you get hit with 1,000 problems. My son's case is unsolved 5 years later. That is a major thing that, I don't know. A lot of days I just don't know. So I tell the community and people that, this could happen to anybody. I tell people all the time. So I want the community to know that we have to do something. Know that if you know someone who has lost a kid, it's not going away for them. Check on them. A phone call. You can send them an emoji. It's little things to let them know that you just say their kid's name. Sometimes just when you hear somebody say Jonathan, just put a smile on my face when I'm crying, So I say to the community that if you do know somebody who has suffered this loss, because it is for me, I can say it's the hardest loss. I have lost my mother and my father, but losing my son ripped me apart. When I thought losing my mama was going to be it, well, less than 3 years later, my son was murdered. It is a very hard place to isolate this community. Like the police officers say, hearing a mother's cry is what nobody wants to hear. They want us to be quiet. Just literally imagine you hear a mother's cry. Nobody wants to hear that. The police don't want to hear it. Your family gets tired of hearing it, but they're gonna cry. So just be a shoulder. I just remind people all the time that, you know, everybody is human. We all have feelings, and know that if it was you, you would want somebody to see you, you would want somebody to listen to you, and you would want somebody to care. So just love and care, kindness. But a hug will save a life. I say that all the time, literally.
Thank you so much, Ms. Smith. Our next question is for Moody. What role does successful reentry for formerly incarcerated individuals play in reducing violence, and how can communities support that process?
Great question. That's a great question. Because you hear a lot of times that like individuals like us come home, right? And it's funny, he was one of my main man right here, Omar, he was one of the first people I contacted when I was home. I think I wasn't even home a week. And someone had put me in, like, yo, he doing the work in the community. And when I contacted him, we had a good conversation, went on FaceTime and things like that. And then you start, you know, now it was different for me because the social media is different. I think the only thing was out when I was home was Facebook. They got TikTok, they got Instagram, they got, I'm still young. But it was just like the importance of it. But what I saw was people would be like, all right, he just came home. What he on? What he on? And now me, I'm like, oh, this is what I'm on. This was, you know, I'm really trying to help you something. Like, they want to see it. Because we, you know, we can talk, sound good, make it sound amazing, but the work is being put in. So when a person sees the work that you're putting in, and they see the results, and they see, oh, he here, and he's speaking, and he's doing the work, and you have to be able to collaborate with these people, partnership with these organizations, and be present. Like today, I'm present. That will allow you to understand, hey, this is what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I served 15 years for gun violence. Yeah, I did. But does that take away from certain things, what I want to do, how I want to do it, what am I doing? That's why I created my own nonprofit organization, 501c certified, because I want to be, hey, now I can come up with the curriculum for these programs for the youth. Get with different organizations. Hey, this is what I'm doing. I want you to see it. I'm being present. I'm allowing myself to integrate myself in these events. And it's very important because I feel it's important as well for myself as well to meet individuals that's coming home as well. Because I was in a halfway house for like a year. And dudes come home and you can talk to them. And they like, man, I'm trying to get a job, man. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do this. And I look at you like, dang, you know, the halfway house, you'll think they're supposed to help you. You'll think certain things supposed to be set in place, but it's not. Me, myself, personally, I like to say it a lot of times. I helped a lot of people get jobs. I told them, hey, download the Randstad app. When you fill it out, let me know, because the person that connected me to get a job through Randstad, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna tell her I got somebody else. The work you putting in. Then I get with her once I got my organization. Hey, work development. That's the lingo. Some of us don't even know the lingo. That's the lingo, right? Okay, let's talk about it. What you mean? This is what I want to do. These people, they being violated. They ain't got no jobs, so they being put in positions where there's no incentive. These young kids, you talking to them, and they on the side of the street selling waters. They got guns on them. They doing this, they doing that. You're like, what's going on? What's going on? Being present, though. It's easy to look on TikTok. It's easy to look on Instagram and see the posters and see this and do that. But where you at? So me personally, as a former incarcerated individual, I say be present. It's important. I don't look scary. You can talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Some people, oh, he did. He was what? He violent. No, you can talk to me. We can talk. We can sit down and talk to officers. When we have events, I think I told somebody, this is when I really like, now I can walk up to them. I don't gotta feel funny. What's up? What's going on? How you doing? We can talk. The organizers, and really important, the parents, that's, you know, certain things that I did, as you were saying, inflicting the pain and seeing the other side of it is important as well. But then again, back to what I said, you have to be present. I see the posters, I see these certain things, but just being present. So it's very important to be present. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Moody. So our next question is actually for Kim Collier. Many people believe that lasting change happens when government, law enforcement, schools, faith leaders, and community organizations work together. How would you use your position as state representative to build partnerships and move from conversation to action?
All right, great question, man. Great way to go into the claim that victory for me. But yes, you know, it's a lot. One of the things that drove me to really run, I was at the Capitol and I was talking to some legislators around what we're gonna do to stop this violence. And I was talking about CBI, community organized, community violence intervention, credible messengers, and some of them was like, hey, what is that? And I'm like, how can we talk about saving our community, helping our young people, keeping the city safe when you don't even know what the term credible messenger is, when you don't know what CBI is, when you don't know the organizations that's out here doing the actual work, right? One of the things that I'm working to do is make sure that we can fund organizations like mine, like hers, like y'all that are out here doing the work, right? That are out here on the ground, making sure we got funding so that we continue to do the work that we're doing, making sure trauma recovery centers are in place in communities that have a high propensity of violence, right? So that we can get free mental health services. We can have somebody to talk to. Making sure that we got mental health services in our schools, right? And right here in the district. Part of my district that I'll be representing is South Atlanta, which is Grant Park, Peoplestown, Summer Hills, and I got South Atlanta, Lakewood, right? Jonesboro Road, right? On the other side, they're close to the Great Hospital. They're close to more mental health services. Right here on the south side of the city, we don't have mental health services, no hospitals around here, right? So that's another goal. The biggest thing is we can't talk about saving our communities, saving our young people, stopping gun violence, but we're not right here in the community and talking to the people that's being affected the most. So we don't understand what CBI is, incredible messages, right? So those are some of the things that are important to me. When my son was murdered, when my son Mar was murdered when he was 10 years old in 2017, I saw that effect that it had on him in school, right? He would go to school and act out. He would have attitudes. He wouldn't want to do his work. He would sit down and not want to read, right? Because he was dealing with things that the teachers or the youth professionals didn't know how to deal with. They wasn't trauma-informed and trained to know how to deal with our babies when I come to school dealing with grief, right? Hungry at night. They didn't know how to deal with my son, so they just labeled him as a troubled kid, right? They put him in what is called, what's the class when they say you can't read? EIP class. What is it? IEP. When he was on in 5th grade, because the school that he was at and things they were reading, he wasn't interested in it, right? And that same year, he ended up writing a book about gun violence and bullying that every school in 8 years, about 400 copies of that same book from a boy that they labeled couldn't read, right? But he wrote that book, and in that book, he was expressing his feelings and his emotions, right? He was talking about bullying, but not from a kid that was getting bullied from somebody that they labeled a bully, right? And he taught a lot about not knowing how to deal with his feelings and his emotions, and that's why he was acting out. He taught a lot about the teachers would just suspend him from school instead of just sitting down talking to him about what's wrong. Times we would want to see a counselor, he would have to wait for hours to wait till the end of the day because they didn't have enough counselors in school for him to go and talk to, right? And I watched how that affected my son for losing his mom, but I also watched how when he did get the counseling and the service that he needed, he started learning how to communicate better. He started speaking just like I am today. We started going on tour with political candidates speaking out against gun violence just 12 years old. He wrote his first book at 12. He was on stages speaking all over the city and all over the country. He got proclamations from the city of Atlanta, right? At just 12, 13 years old. And he worked with me every single day trying to come back to stop gun violence. And sadly, it's what took his own life, right? So I understand the effects of gun violence way before it's been striking. I understand it from the emotional wounds that happen behind it, right? When you lose a parent, when you lose a sibling, and our young people are dealing with this every single day. So some of the things that I'm working hard to make sure that happens is more counseling, therapy in our schools, make sure our teachers have the support that they need, make sure they're trauma-informed and trained for how to deal with our babies and deal with the grief and trauma and everything that our young people are dealing with. More mental health services, right, that can deal with trauma that we're going through, and more funding for organizations that's out here doing the work, right? Of course, we need more policing, but it also has to be a balance, right? Policing and funding organizations that's out here on the ground doing the work, right? So those are some of the things that I'm working to accomplish when I get to the state capitol.
Thank you so much, Ken.
Let's give our panel another round of applause, y'all. We still got a few more questions. Yeah. And then afterwards, y'all make sure you don't go, because we got a few more informative pieces we got to share with y'all. Thank y'all for sticking around.
Thank you so much. Our next question is for Muhammad. PAD Atlanta works with individuals who are often facing some of the life's greatest challenges. From your perspective, what are the most effective ways to intervene before a conflict escalates into gun violence?
I appreciate that question. If you don't know what PAD does, we work with individuals who our mission really is to lower the incarceration rates for those dealing with mental health, challenges, substance use, and dealing with extreme poverty situations. And so when we think about those three things, I think all those three things have been mentioned today. And those are things that usually cause behaviors, which we might categorize as survival behaviors. And so when somebody's dealing with poverty, when somebody's dealing with mental health, challenges or disorders, or even trauma, or somebody's dealing with substance use, that usually causes people, or it usually has people end up doing behaviors that could ultimately escalate to robbing somebody, theft, panhandling, in the middle of the street, taking your clothes off, whatever it is. It could be, like I said, even like shooting somebody, like my father. And so one of the things I think is important is that first we intervene at the point of the unmet need, because those are unmet needs in our communities. Mental health, providers. We need more, places where people can get food and have stability, right? We need housing stability. We need all those things, because people's behaviors are really dictated by their circumstances. And so when I talk about the circumstances, what causes somebody to rob somebody or shoot somebody? We need to look at what's behind the activity or the behavior versus looking at the behavior itself. And that's a challenge I think that we all have to do, is we got to be preventative. We believe in preventative medicine, right? We believe in harm reduction, right? Everybody puts on a seatbelt, right? Because you know what? You can potentially get in a car accident. And so when we think about harm reduction for individuals, we have to have opportunities for them to be able to have food, housing, jobs. And so what PAD does is we want to connect people who are dealing with those things to actual services, substance use services. We want to get, it's not just connecting them or diverting them to a center. And I'm not saying that's not important, but it's the long-term case management that helps. So most of the time when people are unhoused, they don't have the support. It's support mechanisms. You can look at the statistics and say, why is somebody unhoused? Why is somebody dealing with mental health disorders and doing drugs or doing it? Because they don't have the access or the support through case management. And so I believe before things escalate, why don't we meet people where they're at? Why don't we look at the humanity? We can't just walk past somebody who's at a house and say, well, I can't do nothing about that. These are people in our community. We can't say there's a problem. Oh, there's an encampment over there. We need to just close it down. We have to have supportive services for those individuals so we don't need to continue arresting them, because all that does is continue to cycle them through the system. Let me ask the question: what happens to a person who's unhoused that gets arrested and spends 3 months in Rice Street? Do they come out with a bag? No, they come out still poor, broke, in poverty. So how is that fixing the solution or the problem? So I got to shout out Officer Miller. Shout out Major Woolfolk in Zone 3, because they've been saying it. Major Claysman said we can't arrest our way out of this situation. We need diversion. We need supportive services. We can't just sit here and say, hey, at the point of when somebody's getting shocked, that's when we intervene. Do you know the biggest mental health institution in our city? It's Rice Street. Dr. Mark said it like this: we have a failed system when the first time somebody's diagnosed with a mental health issue is when they're in jail. And that's what's happening, y'all. The system is failing our people. Because when I go to my office and I see the people that sit there, who are being diverted to path, who we're offering supportive services to, they look like me. So let's not talk about it's just economics. It's not just economics. It's racial. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna myself.
Thank you so much, Muhammad. Our next question is for Dr. Cynthia Williams. What is one message of hope you would like to share with anyone in this room who is carrying the pain of loss, trauma, or violence?
Man, thank you. One of the biggest messages of hope is that there's 2 days that we can do nothing about, and that's yesterday and tomorrow. And we'll do a lot of focusing on everything that happened before today. The average person holds a minimum of 10 years of unresolved grief. That's 3,650 days. That's minimum. When you're in your 30s and 40s, you're 20 years in, only because you never got your voice back when they took it. Mm-hmm. You have got to find a way to let your voice be yours, and no one else should be able to take your voice. And the hope is, if they have taken your voice, you got to get it back. One simple gesture in getting your voice back is running from what pained you beyond those 3,650 days is it can't happen again. You're holding it because of fear of what the outcome is going to be if you address it. And once you lose your voice, you got to get it back for the generation of yours that's to come. I'll give you a quick tour. Every year, on the birthday of your children out the womb from the person that you created the child with, you have to tell them who you were, the year they're turning, the good, the bad, and the indifference. Or we're not going to break the generational barriers that are necessary to address before any diversion company and program can come in and help you. You got to know who you are that you're asking help for. You got to attach to yourself and say, you need to know when your brain has taken your feet. And everywhere you walk has created the person you are. Have hope that you are still who you are, despite what you went through. And if tomorrow is in your place today, you're too ahead of yourself. Hold on a minute.
Thank you so much, Uncle William.
I just want to interject for 1 second. Let's be mindful of the time we do have for this event and in this church. So let's keep our answers maybe to like 1 to 2 minutes. To just be mindful and respectful of the pastor of the house. Thank you.
So our next question is for Dr. Omar Howard. Because you've lived both sides of the struggle, the consequences of violence and the rewards of transformation, what would you say to a young person who feels trapped by their circumstances and believes prison or violence is inevitable?
That's a loaded question. Yeah, I'm always cautious about how I answer stuff because I mean, stuff sounds good sometimes, but a lot of our kids are in very, very intense situations. The hope that I ever try to give kids is being present. Also, I think exposure, positive exposure. Options I've had and been able to do with my organization with some funding. I've had the opportunity to take kids to Guatemala, Puerto Rico, Africa, take them on mission trips, give them a different view of life. And on these mission trips, they were now able to help other people. These kids who are gang affiliated, been in the streets, juvie, prison, and given that opportunity, given that hope, given that opportunity to serve, these kids now, one of them in college, 3 of them was in alternative school, and they was on the principal list because I was present every day. When I tell them I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. Times when I have spending money, my own money, I'll post on social media. I need some money. People will pour in. This is the hope that we have. I don't know if you can. I don't know if I can say any one thing that is just 100% effective. Depending on what they keep going through, depending on what they keep involved in. Because sometimes I don't think we realize how strong that calling is in the street. It can be very intense. That's why I got in the way I did. And I wish I'd have had brothers like this, brothers like D, and brothers like this, and brothers in my life. Maybe I wouldn't make some of the choices I made. This is the hope that you see right here. Anybody who's working in the community, raise your hand if you're working in the community. You're serving the community. This is the hope for our kids. This is the hope for our kids right here. Every one of these people that raise their hand, the parents that forgive and move on. That's the hope. Do we need funding? We need funding. Because one of the things we have to encourage is education. Trades. There's a new time coming. We got to get these kids involved in things that's going to help them make some money, right? So my answer would be like, you have to stay present, right? And I'm gonna leave y'all with this. All people that's going work in community. In this work, man, be prepared to be exhausted. Prepare yourself for the exhaustion. But if God has called you to this purpose, He's not going to let you fail in it. You just don't give up on our kids. And one last thing, if anybody I can help serve in any capacity, please reach out. I mean, I know we don't want one person, but we all can help each other. But that's what I want to do. Right? Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Howard.
Thank y'all, man. And I wish we could have had like a longer conversation, but immediately after, we got a few more things, but bringing it to an end. We're doing a little networking, coming together as community, and hopefully, especially if you're part of an organization or you're a community leader or whatever it is, you're just serving, connect, exchange some phone numbers, some emails, and make sure that this doesn't stop here. There's a saying that we have in organizing. It's thought, conversation, action. You guys thought to come over here. Now we're having a conversation. The next part is action. This next thing, it's really important because not just having a conversation, it's also a call to action. The work that we're getting ready to do here in Georgia is going to be legislative. It's going to be putting some bills out there. And we've got some people in position that are already willing to help support and patron. We've done some work, more specifically, my collaborative partner, Fatima Mouahid. I can never say her name right, but she's smarter than me. She's done a lot of work in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Definitely smarter than me. Definitely, I'll tell y'all that. If you're smart when you build a team, you get people smarter than y'all. Look at my team over there laughing. Look at that. But I wanted to ask her to come up here and really discuss what it means to get involved legislatively. That means to change law. In Virginia, we brought thousands home with the Republican governor, and in all intents and purposes, a situation that said it couldn't happen, but it did. So please give Fatima a round of applause. She comes up.
Greetings, everyone, friends and family and community. I'm short like some other people here, so. All right. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure you did. And you were like 5, right? You weren't really good at all. Yeah. Thank you. First, I'd like to say thank you to everybody for sharing your story as a survivor myself and someone who works in the survivor space. It's not always easy, but it's mandatory, because if we want to see change in the restorative justice space, we have to tell our stories. So thank you very much for everybody and for all of the individuals here and all the organizations here. So take a moment to look around the room, look at the flyers, the organizations, what they stand for, the banners, and read what it says. Different stories, one purpose, stronger together. We are stronger together. We are gathered in this space for the 3rd annual Both Sides of the Gun because every single one of us understands the devastating weight of violence. We know what it feels like to stand on the side of trauma, and we know what it takes to stand on the side of transformation. But I don't come here all the way from Virginia to Atlanta just to talk about our pain. I came here to talk about our power. Right now, grassroots organizations, community leaders, returning citizens, and survivor networks are doing the heavy lifting of healing on the ground, and today profusely sweating in the heat. But, like I told somebody, you can't do the hard work without a little sweat, so that's what you gotta do, right? We are here mentoring youth, we're staging interventions, we're holding communities together. But if we want to stop playing defense against systemic violence, we have to scale our efforts. We have to take our expertise out of the neighborhood centers and march it directly into the halls of the legislature. Passion builds movements, but policy sustains them. The very first tool in your legislative toolkit is sitting right inside of you. And we heard a lot of it today. It's your story. When lawmakers sit in their offices drafting sentencing guidelines and allocating public safety budgets, they are usually staring at cold numbers on a page. They see data points and spreadsheets and physical impacts. They do not see the human faces behind those numbers. That's us, that's you, that's the people in your community. Your job, and I say you because this is an individual need. Your job is to maximize your story, to use it as an unshakable mirror that forces them to look at the reality of their choices. As survivors and as people who have lived through the system, we are the absolute experts on what our communities need. But hear me clearly. Maximizing your story does not mean exploiting your trauma for a politician's photo op. It means using your story ethically and strategically as an educational tool. You frame your narrative not just to show them where it hurts, but to show them exactly how a specific law or funding stream can fix it. You turned your lived experience into an undeniable piece of political evidence that they cannot ignore. That's real change. But inspiration alone won't pass a bill. To change the law, you have to understand the mechanics of lobbying. Before you ever step into a legislative office, you must do your homework. Get to know their background. Do not just look at their political party, look at what they did before they got elected. Were they a public defender, a prosecutor, a business owner, a teacher? Find out what committees they sit on. If they sit on an appropriations or finance committee, they hold the key to the state's checkbook and legal codes, and that's how bills get changed. When you speak to a lawmaker, you tailor your message to their language. If they care about the economy, you show them how investing in restorative justice and youthful practices and lowering recidivism and saving taxpayers millions. Focus on that. If they care about health, you show them the mental health data behind carceral hopelessness. Lobbying is not a one-time event, it's a relationship, it is relationship management. You build coalitions, you show up at your town halls, you flood their inboxes, you partner with organizations across sections, just like this, with the Life Unit, with Todd, with everybody that was here. You make yourself a permanent fixture in their political lives until voting your way is the only logical choice they have left. So here's my direct call to action to every individual, every leader, every organization in this room today. Do not leave your energy here at Lakewood Church of Hope. Take the unity, the fire, and the connection you felt here today and channel it into structural change. Pick up the phone, schedule the meeting, draft the policy proposal, and demand to be heard. We know, we are in a space where we know what needs to change, and we're on the ground doing it. The people that will solidify it in the state, you have to get to them. You have to be a nuisance in a polite way so that they can make those changes. They make the laws, but we live with the reality. It is time to bring policy and reality into the exact same room. Let us stand up, let us speak out, and let us use our collective power to rewrite the future of our communities. Thank you very much. Let's get some more.
With that, yeah, I'm just gonna, before I close out, my team always knows, I'm very into politics. I'm the one that's down there, on both sides, the capitals, the Senate, and the House. My Democrat and Republican. I'm an independent guy, so I talk to everybody because I feel like it's everybody solution. I'm always out in the community, so but she's right. When you want some change, you have to speak up. And a lot of people in this business ask me, like, what can we do for you, or what can we do for Pod? And I tell everybody the same thing, like, what can Pod do for you? Pod's gonna do. We're gonna take care of it. But what can Pod do for you? We have resources. I know you mentioned last year was busting out the door, and I'm not a numbers guy. I don't chase numbers or anything like that. I know the team's the same way. We don't chase the attendance or numbers or like that. But it's just I see some of the same families here. I see some of the same neighbors here. When the same I see our state partners at the Pro Bowl holding down being consistent for 3 years. I see APD was here last year also. So when people complain about not having the resources or not having the people there, we have to sometimes be accountable for, the things that we don't do in our own lives. So, I thank you guys for coming. We're going to get to the refreshments. We definitely want to get out and have a walk. We had an incident right here at Little Bear. What was that, a couple weeks ago? You know what I mean? Was shot, killed. We want to stand in solidarity with this community. So we got all types of refreshments in this room. I know everybody's a little tired, but if we could just do a solidarity march from here to Little Bear, in solidarity with this peace movement and this gun violence awareness we're trying to do in this community. Y'all don't mind with that? Thank you guys. And meet us outside. And I'm running for governor. No, seriously. No.
This man right here, big as strong as he is, he always try to make me lift this. I'm older than you there.